Good morning. I hope every one of you is fine right now. Today we have a very interesting topic. It's about Windows Server and how small and medium business are very worried about the security and how Windows Server is key to keep all of that features of security covered in a company. It doesn't matter if the size of the company is small or of medium in that case. Today we have Tiago Cruz from Microsoft. He is a specialist of this product and he's gonna realize a very interesting demo and to cover other topics that he will tell us in some minutes. So how are you doing today, Tiago?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Luisa. It's a pleasure to join all of you, and thanks everyone who's connected, who is watching us on demand afterwards. So it's such a pleasure and a joy, and I hope you make use of this information. We have such an interesting trend on small businesses and especially on services and servers that this is super important as an opportunity, to understand what kind of trends we're seeing. So
Great.
I'm super happy to be here.
Great. So just one recommendation for our clients before starting, you have access to the chat. So any question you have, we will be pending there to answer the questions. Also, if we maybe have some pending questions at the end of the webinar, also Tiago is going to help us to answer because the idea is that you take advantage of this timing and at the end cover all the doubts or questions that you have. Also, we will have some interesting points at the end about Windows Server 20 how is 2022. So be ready that are coming new things. So you can start, Tiago. Thank you.
Awesome. So once more, it's a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy our presentation. The idea here is to split it in two halves. So first, an introduction, which is theory. So for us to understand what is important, what are the trends for servers, what types of usage our clients are really looking for, and what kind of resources we can really leverage and explain to them how important they are. And today's topic is specifically about one possibility that used to be only in the hands of big companies. Also dealing with hyperconvergency, dealing with high availability, disaster recovery, extending your capabilities with a backup. Also really leveraging modern features. But this is not now. This is not only really meant to big companies. The trend now is small and medium businesses really building their environment, which is not rarely really small. We're talking, most of the clusters that we have for servers are 2, 3 nodes, 4 nodes, at most 8 nodes. This is the trend in servers, and it does represent a great opportunity for all of us. We're talking about millions of companies that really bring us this opportunity, and have this need like really strong, and getting more strong as the years goes by, as their collaborators are looking for weird ways to work with their environment. I want to work from another country. I want to work from my home. I want to access a service that is important for me. So Windows Server really brings solutions for those needs, and is the standard for the market. This is super important. So let's jump right in. As I said, my name is Thiago Cruz. I'm a local trade trainer for Microsoft in the region, and it's a pleasure to bring you this content today. So let's understand. The agenda is split between, first of all, understanding the importance and what it is that is the hybrid environment. We're talking about hybrid in most of our solutions, because the modern workplace is hybrid, and modern solutions have to be hybrid too. It's a trend that allows our clients not only to leverage Windows Server features, Windows Server characteristics, but extend those capabilities using key services that will allow them to really reach things that will not be possible if they try to replace or replicate them locally. So this is super interesting and it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity. Our demo is focused on Windows Admin Center and how to use really those characteristics, those features, how they are simple to implement, and how you can leverage them not only to create an HCI environment, but also to connect really, really easily to important Azure services, for example. And this is super important to reach our final point, which is why Windows Server HCI is ideal today, and why is this trend that we see in small and medium businesses all around the world. So this is super interesting. Let's first review before we see it like for real. What are the trends that we are talking about? What is the hybrid environment? What were you getting when we talk about this? So first of all is the possibility of working with Windows Server from anywhere. Oh, by the way, I'm going to perform the configuration of our servers in the end remotely. So I'm not in the same uh, locality. I'm not in the same place as my colleague Alexis, who is also with us. So you can post your questions, your any doubts you have on the chat. He's helping us not only answering the questions, but also providing the environment. So this is super interesting how you can have Windows Server anywhere and from anywhere. We're talking about on premises, hybrid, and on cloud. How you can have a hybrid data center really with a powerful but simple solution, simple to implement, simple to manage with the best tools you can have, and how small and medium businesses are using this hybrid cloud. What are some of the most common trends when we see our clients using? What are some of the most common services that they are activating? So let's jump right in. The first topic is exactly about being able to use your solutions to leverage the features that you find in Windows Server from anywhere. We're talking about workloads that are classic on premises that can be modernized to have more security. We have many, many new features for Windows Server 2022 that are around the security pillar with a better cryptography, with a better network communication that is safer, new standards. And this is super key to understand how those workloads will be safer and can leverage cloud services, creating what we call a hybrid environment. One interesting thing that we had in the past months is that Microsoft, we expected hybrid environments to really grow, but they even grew in a bigger, in a much faster speed that we previously foreseen. So this is super interesting. This is not only the trend that we foreseen, but it's getting even bigger than we thought. So the importance of the features that we have that leverage those kinds of design is super important. And when we're talking about hybrid data centers, we are talking about the possibilities of working with cloud services that will allow you to not only connect to any data center anywhere, but to any point anywhere, including possibilities of leveraging IoT solutions that are connected to Windows Server, and really see them as one, using any infrastructure in any data center and managing any point. It brings together many things that are impossible to bring together locally. You can really leverage. And when we talk about services, we're not talking about just something else I have to pay because it's a service and it's going to increase the cost of my server. We're talking about, think about it. When you're talking about services, they do grow and they do exist because they represent an opportunity to implement something that locally would be much more expensive. So I do need a backup. I do need a backup. I have a local backup. I do need a second backup. What do I do? Do I hire another company? Do I create another location, or do I leverage services that will allow me to reach my goal without having to do it myself? Sharing the responsibility, sharing the infrastructure, sharing the design that we have. So this is key for our solution. This is key for the design that we plan for everything. and Windows Server has everything you need to reach those, those goals, those features. It's super, super important. So how those customers are using the hybrid cloud? I usually can help myself, and I talk about those possibilities way before the slide. But it's super important to review what is common, what is necessary, what is the trend. Of course, we have many clients that are super technical and super deep into hybrid and cloud solutions. They are not the most common clients. So the biggest opportunity we have are for activating some of the most basic services that are really needed, by everyone, by companies of all sizes. It doesn't matter. We're talking about now from 1 to 2 people using services that are needed for developing an application. It's not rare for to find a startup that is just 2 or 3 people, but those people will need to develop applications. So we are really talking about offering for those clients the possibility of having a solution that not only solves their problems and workloads locally, but also connects them with many other possibilities that will allow them to really optimize their CTO. I cannot make the backup locally. If I need a backup, how at the same level of services that I have on Azure, I would have to do it like 3 backups. I have to have multi-geographic servers installed in multi-regions in many countries, as Microsoft on Azure does. So this is the trend. This is how we work together. Our clients can activate those services, get the benefits of having a backup that they know will be there without having the cost of doing this locally. This is why this is a trend. This is why this is not just an additional cost for the servers. So this is super important. Understanding the hybrid capabilities and what they are doing with those hybrid capabilities. So managing updates, managing backups, file sync, storage of files. So this is super important, and really basic stuff that used to be just locally done. Now leveraging the cloud, leveraging services, so we can really deal with modern needs. The world has changed. Everything is decentralized, so we do need tools to quickly move virtual machines, quickly move workloads from one place to another, maybe activate temporarily one region because there's an action, there's something that is going to happen in that region. So this is really a trend, and it's not only big now, but it's going to get bigger. So it's super important to understand what is inside our solution that can leverage that, and what we can deliver to our clients. Okay, this is key. And the tool that we use to do that is key. Windows Admin Center has the capability to deliver those possibilities to our clients using, for example, I mentioned some of the activities. So what are the names of the services? What are some of the services that we can use and activate to actually get those benefits? So we're talking about Azure Site Recovery, Azure Backup. We're talking about Azure File Sync, one of my favorites, I have to say. I love file syncs. I love to have everything that is important anywhere and sync with other environments. This is super important for me. Azure Update Management is another that is one of my favorite services. Azure Monitor, so helps you really see your environment in a powerful but easy way to implement and use. So services that are important to gain capabilities that will be close to impossible to implement locally, but now are possible, are in the reach of our clients of any size because they have those capabilities, not only in Windows Server. Also, we're talking from 1 node to 2 nodes to 3 nodes, so really small solutions that can use Windows Admin Center, which is free to leverage really, really important servers for them. Windows Admin Center is key to implement those features. It's key to really creating the pathway for our clients to manage that. They are simply like a menu option in Windows Admin Center, and I do invite every one of you to download Windows Admin Center so you can feel comfortable talking about it. I usually like to say that when you have something, it's much easier to talk about it when you use it a bit, when you know it a bit, when you understand the possibilities. This is why we're bringing you the demo. This is why we're bringing you and trying to give you the best of what we can do live, so you can see how simple it is. We always say it's simple, so let's see how simple it is, right? Let's see what are the possibilities of better resource management with Windows Admin Center, better deployment options. This is the demo today, and how does Windows Admin Center work? So first of all, is exactly what we mentioned. Windows Admin Center gives you a place, and it's available for free to manage everything you need for your servers locally. It is now on version 21.03, which brings us many new features, for all the way from performance, only bringing the whole application to HTTP2, uh, got us to a point where we have half of the time to execute some of the commands, which is really, really interesting. And also we have some new features that are responding to requests from our users. So like routing your outbound traffic via proxy. So this was super necessary for clients that really needed everything to go through a proxy, and now it's available on Windows Admin Center. It's one of my favorite tools, not only because it has everything you need to manage and implement your servers, but also because it has hybrid capabilities that are easy to implement. As I mentioned, we are working with the version 21.03 right now, which brings us many new capabilities. We have many new options to manage virtual machines now. One of my favorites that you have control over the bars that show your virtual machines in our environment. And one of my favorites is that you can create your own. And I like to split all the virtual machines by node, so I can see what virtual machine is in which node. I can minimize and maximize. It's super interesting. We have a really, really modern tool that is easy to implement. And here's the tip: commercially, it's key for our strategy. Many new clients that don't have paid tools like System Center Manager to manage servers, or they even never manage servers, or they have like an old tool because they have a server that is from years ago, like Windows Server 2008. So Windows Admin Center being free, modern, and easy to implement, it really helps those clients being enabled in a way that doesn't involve adding complex elements to that negotiation. Another thing I have to buy to manage, another thing I have to explain to my client. So Windows Admin Center is not only key for resources and usage, but also for the commercial purpose that we have as a strategy. So offering the tool for free, offering the tool that that enables capabilities for those services that we are featuring here. So it is key to use Windows Admin Center and to present them to our clients, explaining that they don't have to pay anything else, and that the market usually and not rarely uses paid solutions. And now we have a modern approach from Microsoft, not only offering Windows Admin Center for free, but also part of our demonstration is Storage Space Direct for free. So clusterization and storage defined by software, really from inside our solution, part of our solution, and this is key. So Windows Admin Center is not only key for the servers that we manage right now, but it's a tool that had so much success in the past year that we actually made it migrate to Azure. So now, if you're accessing, if your clients are using Azure Portal for anything, you can manage, you can run Windows Admin Center all the way from the portal. We have the public preview right now available, and this speaks volumes about the efficiency that we have with Windows Admin Center. Now, where when even the guys from the Azure cloud were looking at the tool that we were using to really implement and manage our servers locally and in hybrid environments, and bring that tool to the cloud because it was needed, not only to manage on-premises solutions and hybrid solutions, but also to manage Windows Server on the cloud, including Windows Server 2016 and 2019. So it does support many versions. It can be the best tool for you to really leverage all the possibilities you have with Windows Admin Center and with your clients. A better resource management, it's really present when you actually see those new features, those tools that we developed in the new version. One of my favorite tools, and I do invite you to check this. It's not part of our demo today, but the container tool is really, really, really modernized. You can you can easily migrate an application that is running on Windows Server 2008, an application that is a classic .NET that was built and developed on Framework 3.5. You can just load the zip as a web deploy. You don't have to create the Docker file, and you can create an image for a container. You can register that image on Azure or locally, and you can actually run an instance of that application in a really easy way. I know one of the main drawbacks of our clients is trying to modernize applications that they have inside their companies, like paid applications, and just any application that we use for everyday systems that we have inside our companies. So now we offer a tool that really has the best features to modernize those applications without really requiring too much from the admin IT. So it's amazing. I do invite you to understand how easy it is to implement those and how Windows Admin Center really just creates the Docker file for you. You just load the zip, choose your options, and the Docker file for creating that image will be there. I love the new Windows Admin Center characteristics. As I mentioned, it's a really easy tool to implement. It works and acts as a gateway. It's a really small installer. We're talking about 60 megabytes, and it allows you to manage all your environment, all your ecosystem, really easily and with a modern tool that will allow you to access your environment from anywhere. I know you guys are curious about the tool, so we are almost in the part that we are demonstrating Windows Admin Center. It's really important to understand that Windows Admin Center is not only ideal for one of the most common deployments for small and medium businesses, for offices and branch offices that we have, but for all sizes. And it has capabilities to large deployments for enterprises using Azure and really with a deep dive foot on Azure solutions and other types of environments that are hybrid, that use local workloads and cloud services to really build the ideal design for them. And it's just really interesting how they can leverage not only the tool but Windows Server as a feature solution, as a feature operating system to really gain um, those capabilities inside their companies. And this is key for everyone. Windows Admin Center has no cost. You don't have to pay anything. It runs on any browser that is modern, so Edge or Chrome, and you are good to go. You can install it in a managing node. This is what we're doing here. So we're going to access our managed node and open Windows Admin Center so we can actually see how we can use Windows Admin Center to create a cluster really easily. And it manages not only servers and clusters and clusters uh, 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 that are built on Windows Server and Azure Stack HCI, which is not the point today, but it does manage them, and Windows 10 PCs too. I use Windows Admin Center to manage all my devices at home, just as a side benefit of using Windows Admin Center. And finally, we get to a third point, Windows Server HCI. It brings us high availability and resilience. Is where we can create clusters that will allow virtual machines and workloads to live even in hard times. So even if you have a trouble, if you have an error with a virtual machine, if you have a software-defined storage that has resilience, that has really the capabilities of delivering high availability, you don't have to worry. That machine will move automatically. You can do live migrations, and this is what we call Windows Server HCI. So this is super important. You get a solution that is an all-in-one product and license. You get your virtual machines, you get your clusterization technology through Storage Space Direct, and Windows Server is the best solution for every other workload and need our customers have. Now, Windows Server today is it's responsible for more than 70% of workloads running in servers in the world. So we're really talking about the workloads that are common everywhere. This is why this is an opportunity. We know they are going to run workloads. We know that our clients are going to run HCI solutions, and they are starting to activate those services. So we need to be positioned to leverage that opportunity. Like, I'm here. I know about the solution. I have the best solution for your moment, for the moment that your company is living, for those needs of high availability and high resilience infrastructure. So the example today is exactly about this. We're talking about unifying three standard servers and creating an HCI environment that will allow the workloads that live in those servers to really move and be available no matter how hard time how hard the time they are dealing with inside their moment, inside their system, inside their network. Of course we have limits, but with a high right resilience implemented, you can really have an environment that delivers the level of high availability that is needed for modern applications these days, even using three-way mirroring, for example, to really guarantee those high availability environments. Our example today involves really creating those environments. So what do I do if I have three servers and I want to unify them? I want to create a cluster. How is it done on Windows Admin Center? So this environment is really created for the example that I was describing. So in case of failure, in case of an error, you have really another part of the infrastructure where the workloads can call up and being transferred and offer the services that they are offering um, uninterrupted. So this is key for something that we were talking about, for companies that are sensible to specific times of the year, to specific seasons. Maybe the company has an important moment on Black Friday, and if the application gets an error and it's not in a high availability infrastructure, it can be really hard to recover from that failure. You'll get a week to get the application back, and you will lose that moment. So this is why high availability and high resilience are key for our clients, and is a key part for Windows Server HCI, the ability to replicate and guarantee that those workloads will keep working. When we're talking about HCI, we are talking about Windows Server Data Center. So Windows Server Data Center has the technologies and the features that are needed to create those clusters. I'm talking about file migration services and storage spaces direct. It brings you the possibility of activating hybrid design, creating unlimited virtual machines, and it brings you an enterprise class solution. It's a familiar management and operation that is not going to complicate the environment that we are studying, that we are talking with our clients. So everything you're used to. If you're running Windows Server in a classic mode, if you're running Windows Server in a workload that is not connected, you won't have to really learn that much. Microsoft is always trying to balance the features that we have with familiar tools that will help them really not only be comfortable when dealing with our solutions, but be comfortable leveraging new features that will allow them, for example, to have multiple deployment options for different designs that they have for their solutions. So let's see some of those designs. I'm talking about standard servers that run Windows Server on top of them, that will allow our clients to create virtual machines and their workloads based on Windows or even Linux, and they don't have any additional cost for that. We're talking about not only virtual machines, but a really important part are containers. I'm sorry for not translating that term specifically. It might have, no, it probably escaped me yesterday, but it's super important. Containers, as I mentioned, it's a key part for Windows Server 2022 specifically, because the container tool for Windows Admin Center 2103, uh, it's really better than the last version, and it has many features that are focused on creating a better and new ways to create containers. So this is key part to really give those clients the ways to deliver those applications to those environments and really finally deliver those services to those environments, to begin to actually use them. Windows Admin Center will allow you to manage everything. So workloads, your hardware, your operating system, your containers, your virtual machines. It has compatibility with Docker and Kubernetes, which is super important these days, and it can extend those management capabilities using hybrid services. This is really, really important. The most common scenarios and use cases for Windows Server HCI are really known by our clients and are super important for us to keep in mind. So implementations of remote office and branch office, data center modernization, and SQL performance or SQL databases, for high performance. VDI is really getting big, so virtual desktop infrastructure, where we build servers to create virtual desktops to offer applications to companies, to collaborators, so they can actually use bigger resources, maybe enable those resources real quickly. And this is key for our product. Windows Server brings an all-in-one product and license. I'm, I'm talking about a hypervisor that has a storage-defined storage, so clusterization technology for free. Storage-defined network also, we're not seeing this today, but it's super key important for hybrid environments. Management and guest licenses. You get everything you need for your modern environment. You get everything your clients need for modern environment using Windows Server Data Center. It's important to understand that Windows Server Data Center is now being updated. We have Windows Server 2022 being launched. We have now Windows Server 2022 in general availability, or as better say, it's now available, right? We launched Windows Server 2022, so it's super important to understand what are the differences that we have. Windows Server 2022 comes in the same flavors that we have for licensing, so not much to learn about licensing, which is really good news. Windows Server Essentials Edition for small companies, 25 users, 50 devices. It must be the root of the domain, available in reseller option kit and OEM. The standard edition for Windows Server 2022 for minimal virtualized environments. It gives you two virtual machines as a right in the licensing, and you have to attach the calls for unlimited users and devices, and maybe remote desktop services for those users and devices, and data center, which is the central part of our demo, which brings us not only unlimited users, but unlimited VMs, and it has everything you need in terms of technology to create an HCI environment. So this is really, really important. One important thing before we move on to our demo is that the licensing for Windows Server Essentials specifically is changing in just a small detail. We are moving from 1 or 2 CPUs being supported, now a maximum of 2 sockets, to a maximum that is tied to the cores of the processors. So a single socket with 10 cores is the maximum that is supported for Windows Server 2022 Essentials editions. As I said, Windows Server 2022 has many new capabilities. We support 48 terabytes of RAM, 64 sockets, 20,000 would be amazing. 2048 logical processors, so a much bigger support for bigger workloads. And of course, we have many new features focused, as I said, on security, hybrid capabilities, and a flexible application platform to implement applications and containers. So don't forget, we have special sessions for Windows Server 2022, so you can get really a deep dive into it. So it's really important for you to understand how security is key with new cryptography tools that are enabled and can talk with our DMA switches, for example, unifying not only security but also performance. We have hybrid capabilities, new hybrid capabilities with Azure Arc and Azure Auto Manage. So this is key, and an application platform that is much more well developed. Okay, so this is key also for our clients. It's super important for them to understand how the container tool is now totally different, and it can be leveraged to modernize applications that used to be hard to modernize and now are not that hard. Okay, let me get back to our demo mode now. So deployment. What is the scenario for our demo? The demo is about hyperconvergent infrastructure. So you need at least two servers, you need Windows Server installed, and you need AD ready to go, so Active Directory. This is all we have for our servers. You have many possibilities to implement. You can just implement a classic failover cluster, but today we're implementing a cluster that is implemented using Hyper-V and Windows Admin Center in a specific scenario that can be implemented not only by Windows Server 2019, but of course by Windows Server 2022. Okay. The steps for our demo are super simple. So first of all, we're getting started, just checking our infrastructure. We'll check our network part, and then we'll move on to really clustering those nodes so we can leverage them all together. Okay, to explain some details of our demo, so some details of the infrastructure that we are going to use, we are going to have. I'm going to access my managing node. The managing node is in that specific IP that I'm going to access remotely. We have a 1 GB connection for those nodes. We are using 3 servers. Today we have those servers ready to go with specific IPs joined to the AD, and we are going to use those servers to connect them. So we have two internet network interfaces. For this to be done, it is necessary for us to have one for management and another one for the communication. And we are using 6 hard drives, so six disks for this solution. In each server, the disks they all have 2 TB of storage in each one of them. And it's just important. It's just a sample of one of the most common infrastructures that we implement every day, that we see our clients implementing. So we have a total of 10 terabytes that are available in this cluster. And why is it 10 terabytes? Because we are saving some part of the storage for the operating system, and we are implementing resilience. So we are not using the whole storage that is available. We need to have another part of the disk, another server that is ready to receive the call in case one server has an error. So let's jump right into our managing node. I'm gonna ask for Alex's support if he sees anything on the other side. We are being sponsored by Alex's environment right now, and what you see is just my gateway to my managing node. I'm gonna open remote desktop service connection with the specific IP that we were pointing out, so 107. Let's wait for the access on the managing node. Yeah, looks like we have access. Adapting the desktop experience, which is one of the advantages we have. Windows Server with a desktop experience that is important. So now, first, this is the managing node. This is the node that we use to access Windows Admin Center and our actual environment. So let's jump right in. I'm open Windows Admin Center. I don't have anything mapped, so I have just the local host. And how would you go about creating a cluster? It's as easy as adding a machine to an environment. You'll see. So this is supposed to be a technical demo, but you'll see how easy it is, how we created really a tool that makes possible creating clusters and adding servers and client PCs, as you can see, really, really easy. Today we want to create a server cluster. So all we want to choose is just create new. We are in the first screen. You are welcome to choose some basic options. So the clusters can be Windows Server or Azure Stack HCI. Today we are creating a cluster for Windows Server. The cluster is a virtual machine cluster, as we point out, is the Hyper-V cluster, not the classic recovery cluster. And today we are talking about a cluster that has all servers in one side. So Windows Server can and has possibilities to create clusters that are in more than one site, so in two sites. This is really interesting, and it's another scenario, but we are talking about HCI today, the importance of HCI for those clients. So the first step is just to check the prerequisites, so see what is needed to create those clusters. No? And right here, you can see that in the first panel, you will be welcome to just add your servers. So I have the servers in DNS, I have their names. I could use their IP, but I just have to look for their names. So let me add one by one. We have three. So storage one, found. Let me add that to my intended configuration. Let's look for the next one. Is storage, whoops, a typo there. Be careful with typos. Storage 2 is searching the storage 2. Now I'm going to add them. And finally, last server for the cluster is storage 3. Searching, searching, searching. I'm going to add that server. Really simple, really easy. Now I got everything to go. I will just click on next. You can see that I have my servers in a domain joined, so it's just a verification step. Let's move right up on the install features option. Next step. My next step will verify everything that is needed on those servers to actually create the cluster. So if you expand this option, you can see that it's verifying if I have Hyper-V, if I have a data center bridging, if I have a failover clustering capability installed, if everything is ready. If you find any errors here, you can enable those features from here. But right now we have all the features that we require ready to go. Everything is awesome in our tree server. So let's move on to the next step. Now for this step, our deployment tool, Windows Admin Center, is checking if any of those servers need an update. So if Windows Defender needs an update, if the system needs an update, you can check it here and you can actually apply them from here before you create the clusters. When we say that we have an update management that is much easier than ever before, we're really speaking volumes. This is really true. So it's not only using the update management that we have for Azure, but it's embedded in some of our deployment tools. So you can see that it's a super simple step where you can just update all three servers and move on with your cluster creation. This is amazing. This is super interesting. Next step, after installing updates, I didn't have to install none of them. I think I have everything ready. So the next step would be, after choosing everything I need for my clusterization, is going to the second bar, is to actually verify the networking part, which will allow the client or not. In our case, we're not doing this, to create software-defined networking. So let's see how that looks. Next part is for networking. Is going to check my network adapters. For those clusters, we need at least two network switches, two network connections for those servers. And we are not doing software-defined network today, because to do such software-defined network, first of all, we don't have time. And second of all, you will need four network switches. So he's just validating our switches. Let's wait for it. When it's validating, it's just checking if the configuration is ready, if they have the standards that are needed for that communication. So it's checking if it's 1 GB and 10 GB, and checking really any all of the details that it has that are important for creating that. I think we're all ready to go. If you want to check it out, you can see that I have my network adapter here. So one is already even named to help me understand what they do. No, one is a provider for really internal communication, and another one is for management. So this is the way I talk to the servers externally. So I think I have everything to go. I have the six in this case network adapters ready, two in each node. Let's just move on to our next step. So, okay, this step is where we point out to our infrastructure, which is already presenting the network switches here. What is the switch that we are choosing for management? So we need to select all our management interfaces, storage 1, good to go, storage 2, good to go, and storage 3. Okay, we're looking good. You can apply your choice and test. So it's gonna run the test that we did in the beginning, but now including management capabilities. Super quick, super fast. Our network is really working. I'm happy about this. The next step would be about creating software-defined network. You can see in the drawing here, just a small tip, that we need the four network adapters to create environments that will allow you to create small virtual networks. So in this case, you can skip it. Sometimes when I say that we have many modern capabilities, I always make a point to explain that those capabilities don't have to be used. The client doesn't have to use the backup on Azure. This is the way, this is the path, this is a feature that he can activate when he needs it. It's important to choose now, even if you don't use it. Maybe next year you will be using your Windows Server and you will have it ready to really implement any modern feature that you need. So in this case, we are not choosing the software-defined network because we don't have time and the network adapters. So let's move to our next step. We are not configuring RDMA today. RDMA are those network adapters that are focused on really performance, really recommended and common for SQL, for high performance, so databases, SQL servers. I love to implement SQL servers with RDMA so I can really get those IOPS out of the system. So next step is just to verify. I'll check all my choices. You can see I need to define what is the network adapter. We don't have to do anything. It is pre-configured. All I have to do is check the configuration, apply, and test. So let's apply and test. Let's see if we did everything okay. If there's anything you missed, if there's anything that is not ideal for the cluster, the system, Windows Admin Center, will let you know. In most of the cases, it will let you choose the right option, get back, or even in some cases, just a warning. For example, we saw that we had a step that checked the updates, right? If we do have any updates on those servers before we implement what we want to. That step, for example, since it's more about control and managing than it is about compatibility. Now it already verified that it has everything it needs for the clusters. Now it's just verifying as a good practice if everything is up to date. Um, that is a super important thing to understand. What is the difference between those things? In that case, in the case of the update, if you do get an update and you don't want to install it, you know you need to do the demo quickly, maybe like I did, or you're running on time because of some other reason. Your client is running on time because of some other reason. That is an option that you can click next without installing updates. You will get a warning in the end. You'll get a whole summary of the choices you make for creating a cluster, and it will warn you. You didn't install the updates. This can have an influence. So keep that in mind and install the updates when you can. Now I can see that all the network has been tested. Our configuration is ready to go. We can move to our last step, clustering. After making basic choices, after configuring network, we finally arrive to the last part when it's going to validate every choice that I made before. So every choice that I made for the names, for the servers that are mapped, for the configurations of the network adapters, to really deliver me the last choice, to actually say the name that I want for this cluster and what is the IP that I want to give to it. Okay, so let's see. This step usually may take a minute, of course. It's usually verifying a lot of important things for this cluster to actually work. So let's validate. As the actual warning says, it may take a few minutes, but it's usually quick. It's usually like 1 minute or 2 minutes. You might get a hanging because of your network or something like that, but it's usually super fast. You can see 34% in a few seconds. Let's wait for it. One more second and we are almost at 50%. Let's wait for it. Now we hit the 50% mark. I'm trusting our system that is going to be fast. I'm always lucky with demos. I can say that. 88%, 91%, almost validating. Really, an activity that took what, like a minute. I was worried because I was running short on time to make the demo, but really, Windows Admin Center speed, the node speed, and Windows Server speed can help someone achieve something that is powerful like a cluster in up until now less than 20 minutes. So imagine how this happened using command lines, using classic infrastructures. You really don't have that. You really don't have that. Uh, that the capability. There's no way. I've been working with servers for many years, and it has always been super hard to create HCI infrastructures. Now, for all the way from the moments that we had NAS and SAS and split it three tiers infrastructure, making them talk with special cables, special admins, network admins, database admins, and now we arrive at a moment where this type of activity that brings many benefits to an ecosystem is now done by a configuration that I never thought was going to be possible. Just using that in a graphic and instinctive way where the system it's using its capabilities. It's using Microsoft intelligence. It's using everything we learned in the past year to really ask you what is needed, but not ask you to implement the actual feature. So this is like my favorite colleague from the Windows Server team, Alexis says, is the hardest part of our demo. But of course, I'm kidding. There's no hard part for our demo. Implementing clusters is really easy. Now you can just choose the name for your cluster. Let's choose just cluster HCI as a simple solution. Oops. I really want to write HCI there. There we go. And all you can, anything, all you need is just to choose a name and an IP that is not being used in the network. Okay, so this is, of course, this is a classic. In my case, we're going to use as an option 1, 2, 1, because I'm sure this is not being used by any device in my infrastructure, by any item, and we can create a cluster. Who would say many years ago that creating a cluster will be a button that was actually written create a cluster? Well, I keep getting impressed by this every day. We have been using this, of course, for a long time. We have been developing this for a long time, but there's no time that I'm not impressed by how powerful this step is and how simple it is to make it happen. We did this in less than 20 minutes. We still have 3 minutes to go in our session, and I can just finish my cluster, go back to the connections available on my Windows admin center, and you will see we have the cluster right here. With the cluster created, you can get an overview for everything that is included in your cluster, and you can easily connect to that cluster, connect to Azure services. As you can see, it's as easy as clicking on an option and actually just enabling and signing it up, with your Azure account. This is super easy to implement. This is super easy to manage. And it's even easier if you want to just map one server to see what's happening there. You can just go back to all connections, click on add, for example, just add a server. We do know the name of our server. If anyone wants to post in the chat, what is the name of one server we can add? It can be storage one. The power of using simple names, right? And we found storage one. We can just add storage one as to our list of connections, connect to our storage one. You can see not only how you can access clusters from Windows Server, but easily access your actual node and enable all the types of Azure services that are needed, like backup. Let me just click on backup so you can see how easy it is. Azure backup, as we were bringing as an example, of use back in the middle of our presentation. So you can see all you need to do is just set up, sign up with your Azure credentials, and make this happen in this node. You see, that was super simple, and this is the end. Now this is all the time we have for the demo specifically. So I'll get back to my presentation so you can review the main infrastructure that we use to actually perform that. It was nothing fancy. It was nothing different. Nothing special was prepared. All I had was, in this case, we have a minimum of two, but I had three servers. They were with Windows Server installed and joining a domain with Active Directory, which is a classic. It's a basic in every server. So it's not hard to set up, and it's not hard to deploy. It's really one of the best deployment tools that I've ever seen, and one of the best features you can offer to your clients, so you can leverage the type of opportunity that small and medium businesses brings to us. You can own your feature. You can control the client journey that our clients have. Have a role in the journey, have a position as a supplier in that journey. I like to make the comparison with being in a field, playing a game and being in a good position to really leverage that pass, to really complete that play. So this is key. Understanding everything that we included in our solution, everything that is new and important to our clients, and accessing our assets, now our documentation, and of course, not only accessing documentation, but every Microsoft account and contact you have, so you can really solve those small questions that come up every day, and 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 be the best for your clients, be the best supplier you can be. I would like to thank you all, and